Welcome Algebra 1. This video is on solving quadratic equations by factoring. Let's begin. So what's a quadratic equation? We talked about quadratic expressions, but the difference is for equations we have an equal sign, and expressions there's no equal sign. So equation is going to look like this. You got your quadratic part, always got these quadratic expressions, but then we got an equal sign and we got stuff on both sides. So when we try to solve, we want to find values for the variable that make the solutions work, that make the equation valid. So for example, this first one, my two solutions are going to be n equals -1 and -4. Because if you plugged in -1, you would get -1 squared plus 5 times -1 plus 4 equals 0, and that would be 1 minus 5 plus 4, which does equal 0. And if you plugged in the -4, you would get -4 squared plus 5 times -4 plus 4 equals 0. -4 squared 16 minus 20 plus 4, and that does all combine to 0. So that's what it means by these solutions. If you plug either of those solutions in, it is going to make the equations balanced. So how do we actually figure out those equations? One of these here. How do we do this? Well, first thing you want to do is set each equation to standard form with 0 on the right. So the general formula for that is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are some numbers. In this case, it's already in standard form because your quadratic, your terms are all on the right and they're equals 0 on the right. All the stuff's on the left and the equals 0 is on the right. Excuse me. Next thing, you want to factor this, and you factor it whatever magical way you do that. And you get the two factors of n plus 4 times n minus 1 equals 0. Now, the last step is to set each factor to equal to 0. Because you know 0 times anything is 0. So if we make the left side 0 times whatever is over here, we're going to equal 0. And if we make the right side 0 times whatever's over here, it's also going to equal to 0. So that's the idea behind this. Each of these factors set to 0 is a solution. So I'm going to set the right-hand side to 0, so n plus 4 equals 0, and then, or the left-hand side, and then the right-hand side, n plus 1 equals 0. And let's solve each of these. I'm going to subtract 4 to both sides, so you're going to get n equals -4, and subtract 1 to both sides over here, and I get n equals -1. So my two solutions are n equals -4 and -1. You can write it like this, or write it separately, I don't care. And that's what we got when we did the slide before. Let's do another example. So is it already in standard form? Yep. So I'm going to write x squared minus 7x plus 12 equals 0. And then I'm going to factor. And the factors for that are going to be x minus 3 times x minus 4 and equals 0 because you multiply those to positive 12, add it to -7. And then set each of those factors equal to 0. So x minus 3 equals 0 and x plus minus 4 equals 0. And then we'll solve for each of these. So you're going to add 3 to both sides. You get x equals 3, and add 4 to both sides, you're going to get x equals 4. So my two solutions are x equals 3 and 4. Let's do the other one. So I don't have this in standard form. I need to get this -4p to the other side. So we'll add 4p to both sides. And what you'll get is p squared plus 4p plus 3 equals 0. Now I want to factor that. So two numbers that multiply to 3 and add to 4 are going to be x plus 3 and x plus 1. Now I want to set each of those factors equal to 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. And solve for x, isolate the variable, x equals -3 here, subtract 1 over here, and x equals -1. So your solutions are x equals -3 and -1. Alright, so special cases, and you might have come across these already. So these are some special cases and what they actually factor out to. Well, how do you do those? And the first one, the official name for this is called the difference of squares. And the formula is a squared minus b squared equals a minus b times a plus b. So r squared minus 16 would be one of those cases. Now, you can follow this formula, and I could say, well, it's you square root both sides, and then you get r, square root of this is r, and square root of this one is 4, and it's r minus 4 times an r plus 4. But you know what? If you don't remember that formula, that's fine. Just treat it like there's a 0r in the middle, and then do your regular factoring. So I need two numbers that multiply to -16 and add to 0. Well, that's going to be plus 4 and minus 4. Because 4 minus times -4 is -16. And if you add those are opposites, they add up to 0. So either way you do this, you don't even need to know any special rules. Same thing with this one. So you can put a 0 in the middle, 25x squared plus 0x minus 1 Okay, so we can do it with the x factor way. Multiply 25 times -1, -25, and a 0 on the bottom. Our two numbers are 5 and -5. Or, yes, that will be it. And then I can factor out using the box. So if I'm going to factor this out, it's 25x squared and -1 down here. And my two factors are 5x and -5x. Well, your two solutions here are going to be factoring out this way is a -1. Factor out this way is an x. Factor out this way is going to be a 5. Oh, this will be a 5x. And this will be a 5x. And this will be plus 1. So your factored form is 5x minus 1 times 5x plus 1. So you don't really need to know the special formulas. This other one was called a perfect square trinomial. And again, you don't need to know any special formulas. It's just here, it's there. If you want to know that formula, it can be a shortcut. But if you don't know that, just do your regular factoring methods, and you get to the usual solutions. So over here, I can make my x and say 25 on top and -10, and go -5 and -5. It'd be n minus 5 times n minus 5, which can be written as n minus 5 squared. Same thing over here. Let's do the guess and test way. I can go, that's going to be 5k and 5k. And two numbers that multiply to 1, well, it's +1 and +1. And so that's going to be your factored form, because 1 times 5 is 5, and this is 5, and those add up to 10. You can write that as 5k plus 1 squared. All right, let's do some examples. Pause the video. All right, I'm going to factor this. Multiplying to -48, adding to -2 is going to be p minus 8, and times p plus 6. The more you do those, the faster you'll get at that in your head. So setting those each equal to 0, p minus 8 equals 0, p plus 6 equals 0, and you're going to add 8 to both sides here. So you're going to get p equals 8, and subtract 6 to both sides here, and go p equals -6. So your two solutions are p equals 8 and -6. Next one. All right, this is a difference of squares. I know the formula, so it's going to be m minus 3 times m plus 3 equals 0. Now I can set each of those equal to 0, so m minus 3 equals 0, m plus 3 equals 0, and just isolate the variable, add 3 to both sides here, get m equals 3, and subtract 3 to both sides here, and you get m equals -3. So your two solutions are m equals 3 and -3. Next one. All right, I want to get all my stuff over to the left-hand side, so it's equal to 0 on the right, so I'm going to add 10 to both sides. You add 10 to both sides, you get x squared plus 7x plus 10 equals 0. And I'm going to factor that on the right. Multiplies to +10, adds to +7 is x plus 5 times x plus 2. And that means my two factors are x plus 5 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0, subtract 5 on both sides. X equals -5, subtract 2 on both sides, x equals -2. So those are my solutions. That's it.